All right, it is 7 o'clock on the dot. We are going to get started with some questions for today. Yay! Happy Sunday. I hope everybody has had a wonderful week. And I guess there's nothing to it but to get to it. None to it but to do it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So let's go. We're starting with number 90. I can't believe we're almost halfway through this test, but there it is. A tenant transfers the entire remaining term of a lease to a new tenant, but remains secondarily liable to the landlord if the new tenant defaults. This transfer is best described as: is it A, a sublease, B, an assignment of the lease, C, a novation of the lease, or D, a release of the lease? All good words, all good words. But if I had to eliminate one of them, I would go ahead and I would eliminate D, a release of the lease. Sounds good, but no, not quite right. And then a novation, remember we talked about the other day, if it was a novation, there'd be a completely new person involved because we know Nova equals, that's not how you spell Nova. Nova, that prefix means new. So yeah, it's not C. Now we're getting down to A and B. An assignment of the lease or a sublease. Or I guess, right? What could it be? Is it A or is it B? Now, I would be honest and I would say, as far as you all are concerned, you probably, I think this is more of an AI getting into the details of things. I don't think on your test you would have to choose between A or B because I mean, it's just too picky. We aren't attorneys. I would go with they're probably asking us, since they're saying, hey, they're secondarily liable to the landlord if the new tenant defaults. I would go with an answer of an assignment of the lease because that's the definition of an assignment before I would do a sublease, right? Because I would assume that the sublease, you're not secondarily, I think in that sublet, you're making the new tenant primarily responsible. Well, I guess, yeah, yeah, and it's so close. I mean, I can see, I would go with my opinion. They're probably going with B, but really, A is really, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. So, they transferred to a new, yeah, so close. I'm gonna go with B because it just kind of makes sense to what they're asking. I don't know if I'm right. Oh, let's see what you all are saying in the chat. B, hello. Oh, Valerie, I see you. I'm bringing home a baby. Bumblebee. Yeah, we're gonna go with B. Now, let's see if I'm right. I don't know. Is the answer B? Hey, the answer's B. The answer's B. Hey, the answer's B. Now, I'm looking here at the answers because when I created this exam, I said, hey, AI, give me the right answers, but also tell me why the wrong answers are wrong. So here's what it says. It says B, an assignment of the lease is correct because an assignment transfers the tenant's entire leasehold interest to another party, but absent a release, the original tenant remains secondarily liable to the landlord. Cool, I get that. Then it says why A is incorrect. A sublease occurs when the original tenant retains an interest and leases only part of the space or term to another. I mean, okay, that's so picky. I can't see any exam asking you that. Yeah. I say, if you had gone with sublease or assignment on the exam, you would have been fine. I would. Oh, you're making tacos. I'm jealous. I love a good taco. Love a good taco. All right, so we're going with B, but I think I would have accepted A as well. Sometimes, AI just doesn't know what they're looking for. Really have real life experience as what you could be tested on. All right, 91. An option contract before the optionee exercises the option is best classified as a void contract, a bilateral contract, an executed contract, or a unilateral contract. Well, we know it's not void because void means it's not a contract at all. It had no legal consequence whatsoever. So now we've got to choose between bilateral, executed, or unilateral. And we can eliminate executed because we know executed means it is fully performed. And it hasn't been fully performed. That has not happened yet. So is it a bilateral or is it a unilateral contract? Well, really, you're absolutely right. Our answer, in fact, is D, a unilateral contract. Why? Because only one person has made a promise, and that is the optionor or the seller. The seller has promised to sell, but in an option contract, the buyer has not promised to buy. The buyer says, if I decide to buy, seller, you are promising to sell it to me at this price. But I'm not promising I am going to buy this thing. So it is D, a unilateral contract. Nice job. Nice job. Very well done. Okay, 92. And of course, if you all have questions about any of this vocab, let me know. And hello, Miss Crystal. Good job on both of those. Like I said, A for 90, sublace would be fine. And then you said D. You got that one right. Good job. Okay, 92. A signed purchase agreement under which neither party has yet performed their obligations and closing has not yet occurred is best described as is it a unilateral contract, a void contract, an executed contract, or an executory contract? Well, we know it's not unilateral. We just talked about that. That's about only one person had made a promise and somebody else is going to do something in response. Cool. We know it's not a void contract because a void contract has no legal standing. So is it executed or is it executory? All right. I see in my chat in the Zoom room, I got D's, and Valerie, being my favorite person, said nuts because it's D's nuts. I will never not enjoy that. I will always be a 12-year-old boy on the inside. That's hilarious to me. And yes, our answer is D, executory contract. Why? Because it's under contract. It's fully completed. That's going to be executed. Nice. You all are doing great so far. All right, number 93. A purchase contract contains a time is of the essence clause, specifying the closing date. The legal effect of this clause is that. So, what does time of the essence mean? Is it A, the closing date becomes merely a suggested target with no binding effect? B, either party may unilaterally extend the closing without consequence? C, failure to close by the stated date may be treated as a material breach of the contract. Or C, the clause has no enforceable meaning in real estate contracts. What say you? What do we think this answer is? All right, we got C. We got C. Valerie's giving me a C. Marily's giving me a C. And we know if you're giving me a C that
C is for cookie. That's good enough for me.
Oh, and Stacy, I see you too.
I like carrots, and you should too. It goes crunch, 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 and it's good for you.
We like carrots,
and you should too. It goes
crunch, crunch, crunch. Crystal, I see you with the C as well, and I know that you all were not going to get fooled by this one. Yes, it means that if you miss that date, we could have a material breach of the contract. Remember, not all breaches automatically end a contract. Breach means somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do, but that doesn't terminate a contract every single time. This would be considered a material breach. And being material, if you have a law degree or you're an attorney, then you can better figure out that means, okay, this means you're over. It's over, it's done with. But what we do know as real estate agents is for us, once you throw this clause in, you are putting just a hard line, just drawing a hard line in that sand. And you're saying, miss this date, you're a material breach. We go from there. Or actually, we don't go from there because you done breached. Okay. 94. Both the buyer and the seller mistakenly believed, oh, hold on, I'm going to pause because I'm going to cough here. Hold a second. Okay, I don't know why I feel like there's something in my throat, but that's okay. Sorry about that. Both the buyer and the seller mistakenly believed at the time of contracting that a parcel included a buildable second lot, when in fact it did not. This shared error is an example of A, mutual mistake, which may provide grounds for rescission, B, a unilateral mistake, which generally does not affect the validity of a contract, C, duress, because one party was forced into the agreement against their will, or D, fraud, because one party intentionally misrepresented a material fact. Now, my guess is on the exam, you probably would not get these clauses at the end. My guess is it would be more like just the first words. Right? But you all, okay, all right. You all are telling me for this one, 94. I got an A. I got an A. I like to eat. I like to eat apples and bananas. And you gave me an S there, Crystal. I think you meant A. I'm pretty, there we go. I figured because there S isn't a choice and A is right next to S. So I figured that was right. And yes, you all are correct. That would be a mutual mistake. However, I do love that this test gave us the definitions of the other items. So if you looked at those words and you're like, I'm not sure what that is, now you know. Right, 95. A seller honestly but mistakenly tells a buyer that a roof was replaced 5 years ago, when records actually show it was replaced 10 years ago with no intent to deceive. This is best characterized as, so a seller honestly but mistakenly tells a buyer, is that duress, fraud, undue influence, or an innocent misrepresentation? What say you? Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. Make sure you all are all good. Make sure that you all can see everything. What do we think that is? Duress, fraud, undue influence, or an innocent misrepresentation? All right, Crystal, you said D. Stacy, you said D. Marilla, you said, I think D. Yep, you all are right. It is an innocent misrepresentation. Now, I will tell you, this is one of those national terms. Okay, what is with my spelling? Y'all, I mean, I just need to give it up. National terms. Because not every state uses the word innocent misrepresentation. I can tell you, North Carolina, it's not really a term we use. However, when you get to the national questions on your exam, you know it's not duress because there was no threat. You know it's not fraud because that's got to be intentionally. You lied to somebody trying to get them to do something. And undue influence is when you are abusing that power, that position in their life. So, no, it's not C. Even if you're in a state where you don't necessarily use the words innocent misrepresentation, you know it's got to be it because the other ones can't be it. And when you get to this test, if that's all, I mean, if that's what gets you there for passing, we'll take it. Absolutely. Okay. 96. A written offer to purchase a property states that it must be accepted by 5 p.m. on Friday. The seller does not respond by that deadline. What happens to the offer? Is it A, the offer remains open indefinitely until the buyer formally revokes it? B, the seller may still accept it at any time within the following 30 days? C, the offer automatically lapses or expires and can no longer be accepted? Or D, the offer automatically converts into a counteroffer at a reduced price? All right, 95, we got a D. Oh, that we're doing 96. I don't have any answers for 96 yet. What do we have for 96? Well, let me eliminate. I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't just stay open indefinitely. No, you said you had to accept it by 5 p.m. on Friday. And that means, no, you don't get to accept it within the next 30 days. Right? Now, Marilla, you're telling me the answer is C. Marilla says C, the offer automatically lapses or expires, or is it that the offer automatically converts into a counteroffer? Oh, Crystal, you said the answer is C as well. And you know what? Oh, and Stacy, you said the answer is C. And yes, you are all correct. It automatically expires. So if the seller decides at 5:05, you know what? I will accept that offer. They're either going to have to counter. Well, they can't even really counter. They're going to have to give a new offer to the buyer saying, hey, you want to buy my property at these terms? Or they're going to have to call the buyer and say, hey, you want to give me another offer? Same terms. That's cool. Now, if I was a buyer's agent, I'd be like, yeah, I don't know about those terms. We're going to have to go down in our price because now you're coming to us. But that's just one way to negotiate. I'm not saying it's the best response in every decision. I'm just saying I try not to negotiate in some instances. But there you go. So yes, C, that is our answer. Good job, ladies. Good job. Or gentlemen, if I have one and watching on YouTube, to you too. 97. Under the Federal Fair Housing Act, which of the following is a protected class? Valerie, we were just talking about this. We were talking about our protected classes. And Valerie, I will wait. Do you remember? Really, you can't see it? Oh, let me see. Let me see. You can't see 97. Let me do this and boop, do it back up. I don't know what was going on. Share it again. Did that work? Hopefully that worked. Okay, good. Good, good, good. So, Valerie, can you tell me what our acronym is for our fair housing? Oh, I see Crystal has it. I don't think Val is watching via YouTube. But Valerie, do you remember what this acronym was? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, Marilla, you have it. And what you all know is our acronym is, oh, go ahead.
Fred's Corn. Fred's
Fred's
Corn.
Corn. Yes, Fred's Corn. We know the F is for familial status. The R is for race. The D is for disability. The S or differently abled. The S is for sex. The C is for color. The R is for religion. And the N is for national origin. I said familial status. I said sexual orientation. And oh, whoops. I'm doing this the wrong way, aren't I? I said familial status. I did not say source of income. I did not say sexual orientation, but I'm going to circle this so we can talk about it. And I did not say marital status. Now this is getting really, really particular. The actual laws, that's a W. You just can't tell. Let's do better. Is Fred's Corn. But then we know that HUD came along and said, hey, we mean, so they added sexual orientation and gender. HUD came along and said, as far as we're concerned, when we say sex is protected, then sexual orientation and gender are going to be up under that. It's not what the law says. So if you're looking at C and going, but why isn't that the answer? It's because AI tried to get you. Tried to get you. It's okay, Marilla. I knew what you meant. This is not a law. Sexual orientation is not law. Although HUD says, okay, yeah, we'll cover it. All right. Tricky. I can't imagine your test would be that tricky, but you know what? Some people take their state exams and go, oh my God, what was that? And I cannot in my mind see you all getting any questions harder than some of these we have on this exam, but I have a feeling you all will be very well prepared for them. All right, 98. An agent shows a family from a particular national origin listings only in neighborhoods where that group is the majority population, while showing comparable listings in other neighborhoods to buyers from outside that group. This practice is known as steering, testing, redlining, or blockbusting. What say you? All right, 98, getting an A. We're getting an A. We're getting an A. I like to eat. I like to eat apples and bananas. Well, I guess, and apricots is what I like to sing. I do like bananas though. So we know it's not testing. Boom. We know it's not redlining. Redlining has to do with banks and banking. And we know steering has to do with buyers, and we know blockbusting has to do with sellers. And this is talking about showing a family listing. So that means our answer is A, steering. Good job, ladies. A good job. All right, number 99. Under the Federal Fair Housing Act, which let me just come back and say, this, when I talked about Fred's Corn, this is federal law. Federal law. Your states, your individual states might have their own state laws. Remember, we're working on a national bank of questions, so we're talking about national laws. Please, 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 when you get to your state specific portion, make sure you're referring to what you learned in class about what your state says. Now, back to 99. So, 99, under the Federal Fair Housing Act, which we know is going to be protecting our Fred's Corn, which of the following situations may qualify for a limited exemption from certain fair housing requirements? Ah, yes, our fair housing exemptions, often tested on. But let's see what we got. So, which one may qualify for a limited exemption? Is it a real estate brokerage advertising a single family home for rent? B, an owner occupied building with no more than 4 units when renting out a room? C, a 50-unit apartment complex managed by a professional managed company? Blah, blah, blah. Or D, a bank processing a residential mortgage loan application? What say you? Which of these is the basis of an exemption? And do we need to go over those exemptions? Yes, we need to go over the exemptions. All right. You say C, but yes, you want to go over them. All right, let's go over our exemptions. Let me find them. When I'm finding things like this, it takes a second while I dig through everything, and I'm sorry for making you sick. So, boop. Let's try searching the word exemptions. It's going to give me a couple places. Not there, not there, not there. Boom. Okay, we're in the right place. I can scroll to it. There we go. Here are our exemptions to the Federal Fair Housing Act. Our exemptions to the Federal Fair Housing Act. We have one. If you're an owner and you don't involve a broker, and you don't own more than 3 single family dwellings, and you don't do this more than once every 2 years, then yes, there's a limited exemption. So I like to use religion as a basis. Let's say you're of a religion, you have a house, you've made it and set it up perfect for the needs of your religion. As a private owner, and you don't involve a broker and you don't advertise anything about this basically discrimination that you're going to do, you can say, hey, I'm going to choose who I want to sell it to and who I don't want to sell it to based on their religion. And you know what? There's an exemption for that. The second exemption is if it's an owner occupant of an apartment building with less than 5 units. Let's say you have a duplex that's less than 5. What you can do is say, hey, if I'm living on one side, I want to be able to control who's living so close to me on the second side. So, yeah, as long as it's 4 or less, so less than 5 units, then there is an exemption. Sorry, let me grab some water. I don't know why I'm coughing all of a sudden. All right. Number 3, religious organizations, I guess I don't need to really scroll that. Religious organizations, so long as membership is not restricted to restricting any type of protected criteria. So remember, if I start a religious organization, but I say, hey, no men in my religion, well, sex is a protected criteria, so no, I don't get that exemption. But if I say, hey, only people who like Gilmore Girls can be in my religion, well, then now all of a sudden that's fine. And I can say only people of the same religion because we didn't discriminate based on any of the other protected classes. So, religion, and in that same way, private clubs have that exemption. And we know that there's the adult active communities for the elderly. Again, I would really hesitate for anybody here to call somebody who's a more experienced Gen Xer who might be considered elderly. Just watch yourself. That's a good way to get punched in the face. There's some Gen Xers I wouldn't mess with. So those are our exemptions. Now we can go back to the question, which was right here. Boom. Under the Federal Fair Housing Act, which of the following situations may qualify for a limited exemption? A real estate brokerage advertising a single family home for rent? Nope. Because I remember you can't involve in that salaried employee, can't involve a brokerage. B, an owner occupied building with no more than 4 units when renting out a room. Hey, I like that one. B, a 50-unit apartment complex managed by a professional management company. All right, we know that is not exempted. And D, a bank processing a residential mortgage application loan. Yeah, they don't get to discriminate either. So we're eliminating D, which means you are absolutely correct, Miss Stacy and Marilla. Yes, you are correct. And Val, I see you too. You said B. Boom. Again, knowing the exemptions, I mean, there is so much stuff here, y'all. And I know they could test you on any of it.
Sorry, Candace.
Exemptions are big. Yeah, go for it. What's your question?
Okay, so I knew the beginning of the question that would be that, but then I got confused with that no rent when renting out a room. So that then it threw me off right there.
Yeah, so that exemption is really, if you look here, if you're an owner occupant of an apartment building, well, if you're owning it and you're an occupant, you wouldn't necessarily be selling it. They're talking about you're renting. And that's a good point. You'll be renting out units and you're living there. So number 1 is about selling. Number 2 is about renting. Number 3 is about renting. Number 4 is about renting. And number 5 is about renting and selling. There you go. Does that kind of make sense now?
Yeah, I just gotta memorize that.
No, that's okay. Hey, there are so many details to this. I feel like I swallowed something. Maybe while I was talking, a bug went down. I don't know. Let's be honest, it probably wasn't a bug. It was probably a cat hair.
Thank you.
No problem. You are very welcome. I'm glad you asked. All right, let's keep on rolling. Boop. 100. We are halfway through. I feel like we haven't done a lot of math in this thing, have we? Did we do any math? Sorry, I'm going to make y'all sick, but I feel like these first 100 questions, we didn't do any math. What? That just seems so weird. Let me see. Maybe there's a math section. Those are our answers. I'm just scrolling to see if there's a math section. I asked it to do math. Let's do some math. Oh, wait. That's a math problem. Maybe it's just all mixed in. I asked it to do some math. I don't know. How do y'all feel? You want to do questions? We want to do some math. What are we thinking? There's a math problem. Oh, no, that's not math. There's some math. There's some math. There's some math. Okay, here's the math. It's all grouped together. Okay, I'm making my own self sick with all this scrolling. You want to do questions, Marilla? You want to do questions? All right, we'll do questions. So we got about 24 more questions coming back to that. Let's go back to 100. A tenant with a mobility disability request permission to install a wheelchair ramp at the entrance of the rental unit at the tenant's own expense. This request is best classified as a request for A, a reasonable modification, B, a reasonable accommodation, C, an exclusionary practice, or D, a blockbusting arrangement. What do we think? Well, we could eliminate blockbusting because we know that has to do with fair housing. Boom. You have a tenant with a mobility disability request permission to install a wheelchair ramp. So they're asking for something to happen. All right, Stacy, you say it's B, a reasonable accommodation. Anybody else have a guess? Anybody else? Stacy, you feeling strong? Feeling good about that answer? Are ya? Are ya? Now, it's not exclusionary practice. Its question is it A, a reasonable modification, or B, a reasonable accommodation? This is another one of these times where AI is too picky. I do not think that you would get both of these answers on the test. But here's what I know just from doing this. When you modify, you usually modify the premises. Is this how you spell premises? I don't know. Where it's the structure. And an accommodation is usually about changing a rule. You're making an accommodation to the rule. So my guess is that the answer would be A, but B, I mean, again, guys, this is AI getting really picky. I would tell you if you chose A or B, it would either probably be right. But knowing what I know, since they're asking to install a wheelchair ramp, that would be a modification. And I would say our answer is A, modification. Let me see if my theory as to why it says it. Yeah, it says install. So let's see. Hey, the answer is A. The answer is A. Hey, the answer is A. Yep, that's what they went with. Again, I would be shocked and appalled if they asked you this question on the actual exam. I mean, talk about being picky. But just in case they do, now you know the difference. All right, 101. Good call, Marilla, good call. Which federal law prohibits racial discrimination in the sale or rental of property with no exceptions, including no exemption for small owner-occupied dwellings? Which federal law prohibits racial discrimination in the sale of rental with no exceptions? Is it the Fair Housing Act of 1968? Is it the Equal Credit Opportunity Act? Is it the Civil Rights Act of 1866? Or is it the Americans with Disabilities Act? What say you? What say you? All right, Val says A. All right, Stacy, you say A. Marilla, you say A. Crystal, you got a guess over there? I know it takes a little bit. There's a little bit of a delay. Do you have a guess for me? All right. You said A as well for 101, and I gotta say, we all got that wrong. We all got that wrong. Our answer is going to be C, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. That's the law that has no exemptions. Remember, the Fair Housing Act of 1968 is where we got these exemptions from. Exemptions to the Federal Fair Housing Act. These are exceptions or exemptions. The law says, oh, these are the times where it's okay to discriminate. Now, just because the federal law gives that exemption doesn't mean your state is cool with it. So I can say, speaking from North Carolina, yes, we follow the federal laws, but then our North Carolina law goes, yeah, so about that whole for sale by owner thing, we don't think so. That's a bunch of hooky. And although it may be allowed in federal law in North Carolina for sale by owners, they don't get an exemption. And in fact, we're going to expand that whole owner occupant thing to, if it's you or a family member. So federal law says one thing, and then your state can come in and say another. So there are exemptions to the Federal Fair Housing Act, which means that can't be our answer, because we're looking for a federal law with no exceptions, no exemptions. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act has to do with lending, and not just for fair housing. It's not about housing. And the Americans with Disabilities, that's the ADA. That's about making sure those people with disabilities have the same rights as everybody else. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, and I will bring it up here for you. Where is it? North Carolina Fair Housing Act. I've passed it. Let me go backwards. Sometimes I wonder. There it is. Notice the very first thing I say in my slides, and you are always more than welcome to take a picture of this bad boy. No exemptions. This has to do with race. All citizens have the same right to inherit, buy, sell, or lease all real and personal property. There are no exemptions. I don't care what the federal law says. Even if your state doesn't say, oh, it's a problem for FSBOs, right? Or, even if they're saying, yeah, if you're a FSBO, you can do what you want. They can never discriminate based on race. It is never legal to discriminate based on race, ever. All right. Now, I would say that's a tricky question, but this is a really, really need to know question. This is one of those, if you weren't sure, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot of this, because you definitely need to know that the Civil Rights Act of 1866 says it is never okay to discriminate based on race. Now, whether this country actually follows through with that, I don't know. But I know it's against the law. Think of it like jaywalking. Sometimes they enforce it, sometimes they don't. It's still against the law. So hopefully we've all learned something there. We like you, and it's okay. Remember, I'd rather you get it wrong here. I don't want you to get it wrong here, but I'd rather you get it wrong here so we can learn and figure out what we don't know so you get it right on the actual exam. Boom shakalaka. There we go. All right, moving on. Under the Fair Housing Act's design and construction requirements, certain accessibility features must be included in covered multifamily dwellings built for first occupancy after March 1991. I haven't even finished this question. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I did. Okay. I mean, I'm sure that's something I read somewhere, but if you would ask me what the date was, or, I'd be like, oh, that's nice. These requirements generally apply to buildings with. So I'm going to be guessing as much as you. So under design and construction requirements, certain accessibility features must be included in multifamily dwellings built for first occupancy. All right. So would it be buildings with any number of units, including single family detached homes? Well, let me see. How do I feel about that? If after 1991, does every single building, including single family detached homes, have accessibility requirements? No, they do not. So it can't be that. Is it 2 or more units, but only if government subsidized? Okay, now that means every more than one family. So of a duplex, if a duplex is government subsidized, it would have to have accessibility. Is that true? Is every duplex or more that I've ever seen had accessibility? I'm not thinking so, but let's see what else we got. C is 10 or more units only. or D, 4 or more units? Well, I do know that our one exemption had to do with 4 or more units. So I'm pretty sure it's not B. I think I'm going to have to go with D. I'm going with D, 4 or more units, because I know that's part of the exemptions anyway. 10 or more units sounds a bit high. Again, I don't know, y'all. I'm taking a wild guess too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So let's see. Are we going with D? I think we're going with D. I think we kind of have to. Ooh, this was a good question, because I don't know. I'd not thought about testing y'all on this one. Yeah, I think you think so too. I think so. And hey, the answer's D. The answer's D. Hey, the answer's D. Do a little dance, do a little dance. You know what? I'm doing a big dance because I was not sure on that one. I was not sure. That was a good, you saw me eliminating answers in real time. I didn't know. I did not know. D is our answer. Whoop, whoop. Get over that. Too fat. Okay. 103. A rental advertisement states, ideal for a young Christian couple. No children, please. This person wants to go to jail. This advertisement most likely violates the Fair Housing Act because it A, expresses a preference based on religion and familial status, both protected classes. Yeah, that sounds about right. B, omits the listing agent's license number. Well, it's asking us about Fair Housing Act. So I don't think it's B, because putting your listing, your license number would be a state, requirement, rule, whatever, for your license. Does not state the monthly rental amount. I mean, it doesn't, but that doesn't make it illegal. Or fails to include the property's exact fair square footage. Again, helpful information, but not required. So just by process of elimination, we know our answer has to be A. There we go. Uh-huh. I see y'all. All right. 104. A person who believes they have experienced housing discrimination may generally file a complaint with HUD within how long after the alleged discriminatory act? How long do you have to file a claim if you feel like you've been discriminated against when it comes to housing? Is it 1 year? There is no time limit, 30 days, or 5 years. Well, unfortunately, the answer is not, there is no time limit. Remember, we learned about the statute of frauds and not statute of frauds, the statute of limitations, and then there's also latches. We're talking about, okay, you've waited too long to press charges. So there is a time limit. It's not 104, is not B. What do we think the answer is? All right, Stacy, Val, Marilla, you said A. Okay, Crystal, you said 5 years. And unfortunately, that is not the right answer. Our correct answer is 1 year, A. You have 1 year to file something with HUD in order to have HUD get involved with, backing you up. Not saying you couldn't sue them in a court of law like a civil suit, but yeah, as far as HUD is concerned, you need to come to them within a year of the alleged discrimination. 105. A real estate licensee contacts homeowners in a neighborhood suggesting that property values will soon decline because members of a particular ethnic group, probably Duke lovers, are moving in, encouraging the owners to sell sell quickly at reduced prices. This practice is called, you always think of SVU, I do too. Stacy, you thought it was 6 months? Now, luckily, that wasn't our option. So I think, you guessed right. So we got this idea of telling people values will soon decline because an ethnic group is moving in. Is that testing? No, it's not testing. Is it redlining? Nope, that has to do with banking. Is it steering or is it blockbusting? So, steering or blockbusting? Steering or blockbusting? 105, you said, is D. I see you, Stacy. Oh, and Valerie, you said it's D too, and D's B the right answer. Yep. Oh, I see you too, Miss Crystal. D is the right answer. That is blockbusting. Remember, sellers is going to be blockbusting, and steering is going to be buyers. There we go. 106. Under the Fair Housing Act, which of the following individuals would most likely not be protected from housing discrimination based on disability status? So under the Fair Housing Act, which of these people is probably not going to be covered from, discrimination? Is it a person who is a current user of illegal controlled substances? B, a person in recovery from drug addiction who is no longer using illegal drugs? C, a person with a mental illness that substantially limits a major life activity? Or D, a person who uses a wheelchair due to their physical impairment? Right? Well, we know if you use a wheelchair, you're going to have protection. And we know if you have a mental illness that substantially limits your major life activities, you're protected by that. So who is it? Is it the person who's a current user of illegal controlled substances, can't, you can deny them housing? Or is it a person in recovery from drug addiction who is no longer using illegal drugs? All right, 106, we got an A, we got an A, we got an A. And yes, you all are correct. If you're currently using the illegal controlled substances, you're breaking the law in the space. Yeah, they don't have to let you back in. But remember, if somebody is an addict, that's like a medical condition. Like being an alcoholic, it's a medical condition, and you cannot discriminate based on that. So our answer is A. Hey, I see you being happy there, Miss Valerie. Good job, ladies. Good job. All right, 107. In a title theory state, which party holds legal title to mortgage property during the home loan? In a title theory state, which party holds legal title to mortgage property during the term loan? So who's got the title during the mortgage? Or what say it's a title theory state, so it's the deed of trust. Is it the borrower holds both legal and equitable title throughout the loan term? Is it B, the title insurance company holds legal title until the loan is repaid? C, the lender or trustee, while the borrower retains equitable title and the right to possess, the right of possession? Or D, title is either held by neither party unless the loan is fully repaid. What say you while I get some more water? And Miss Crystal, you want me to go over lien theory versus title theory? We did just have this, Miss Valerie, and you knew our answer. You knew our answer is going to be C. Woot woot, yay! Our answer is C because we know title theory is going to be like being repoed. So, Crystal, just to review, we know that when you borrow money, let me go to another page. Boom. Let me get us a new screen here. So when you go to borrow money, this is you. Hey. And you need money from the bank. They're going to give you that money, but they're going to give you got two different options. They could go with that bank, depending on what city it's in, could go with option number 1, or they could go with option number 2. Option number 1, that is title theory. And option 2 is lien theory. Okay. So just as a reminder, and I know my handwriting sucks, I'm sorry. In option 1, we're treating this like a car loan. In option 1, the buyer which is you, Crystal, gives legal title to the trustee, and the buyer keeps equitable title. Okay. And this would be a non-judicial foreclosure. Why? Because we're treating it like a car loan. We know when your car has to be repoed. They don't have to call and be like, hey, we're taking your car. No, they just come and take it because it's their car. Well, the same concept. It's the bank's house. You got it from the seller and then you turned around and you gave it to the bank as collateral. So they don't have to go to court to get that foreclosure to go through. It's their property. Okay? Versus our lien theory. In our lien theory, the buyer keeps title. And the bank only gets a lien on the property. So banks, if they want to send somebody through foreclosure, have to go through a court. There's a wall. They need to go to the courts and say, hey, judge, this person owes me money. They're not paying me back. Would you give me permission to sell their house so I can get my money back? They need permission because it's not their house. It is the buyer's house. Same scenario, but in a title theory state, it's the bank's house, so they don't have to go to court. Non-judicial. That's non-court. So, Miss Crystal, does this help? I won't go any further until I know that makes sense for you, because this is, we know you're going to get tested this on everybody. This should have been a good review, or you should be like, oh, maybe I need to study this again. So I'm going to just wait for a moment till I see Miss Crystal tell me yay or nay. Get me saying no, 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 no. When it's okay, but I don't know why that sound just popped in my head. And why did nobody tell me that Beyonce dropped a new song? I was going through my social media last night and I was like, what? Beyonce dropped a song last week? Okay, I'm a loser. I realized this. I probably am old and should have known. It was a really good song too. The Donkey Donk. That was good. Morning Dew. Really love it. But I felt like a loser for not knowing for 7 days. Now, yes, it makes sense. Perfect, Crystal. That's what I want to know, that it makes sense. Still mad at all y'all for not telling me about Beyonce. Yes, Miss Valerie. She dropped a new song last night. Well, I guess it was early this morning. It's called Morning Dew. It's real good. I like it. You should listen to that. And if I'm the one telling you, you should be ashamed of yourself, because I'm 50. And if I found out before you, did you need to do something about your social lives? Don't be uncool like me. All right. Next question. Boom. I mean, did everybody else know this? Am I really the last person to know? Okay, sad. 108. Which loan document represents the borrower's personal promise to repay the debt and contains the loan amount, interest rate, and repayment terms? You didn't know until now? Okay, I feel better about my life. I feel better about my life now. Thank you. Which loan amount represents the borrower's personal promise to repay the debt and contains the loan amount, the interest rate, and the repayment terms? Is it the mortgage or deed of trust? Is it B, the promissory note? Is it C, the deed conveying the property? Or is it D, the title insurance policy? Okay, Marilla, you didn't know either? Okay, this is making me feel so much better. Good. And yes, the promise to pay, you all are absolutely correct. That is B, the promissory note. Now, Side quest. What are three major clauses in a promissory note? What are our three clauses that we know we're going to get tested on that are commonly found in a promissory note? I will wait. You all will give me these answers. Three clauses that we know we are often tested on. Somebody's got to know one of them. Somebody, anybody? I hope I didn't send y'all off to go listen to Beyonce. Honestly, if you're kind of off listening to Beyonce, I can't be mad at that. But I need somebody to tell me what these three clauses are. Who's got one of these clauses? I will be so impressed. There are three clauses. Yum. Nobody? Wait, Crystal's got one. She said the alienation clause. Yes, alienation clause is one, or that is the due on sale. We know if you alienate yourself from title or you basically sell the property, you've got to pay the bank in full. Yes. Now, the defeasance clause is usually in the deed of trust. Now, I will give that a put number 4. Defeasance clause. Now, the defeasance clause says, I want title back. Remember, defease means something is ended, and that means you're telling the bank is promising when you finish giving them all their money, you get the title back. So not one of the ones I'm looking for right now, but still really good. We got the alienation clause, the due on sale clause. All right, you alienated yourself from the property. What is the other two? I'll help you with one. Prepayment penalty, right? The prepayment penalty. We know banks are in it to make money. And if you pay them too soon, they don't make enough money. So they charge you because, banks are apparently going broke or something. Some bull. Okay. And then, yes, Miss Stacy, you got it. It's the acceleration clause. Nice. Acceleration. Now, making sure I spelled that right. The acceleration clause. This one says if you default, then your loan is now due and payable in full. It's all about that default. You need to make sure that you know these clauses. You're going to get tested on them. But good job, Miss Crystal, with the defeasance clause. I mean, a lot of people forget about that one. I don't know if I spelled defeasance right. Defeasance. I don't know if it's but you got the point. So we need to know those. Good job, Miss Stacy. Good job, Miss Crystal. All right, let's do 109. A clause in a mortgage that allows the lender, upon the borrower's default, to declare the entire remaining loan balance immediately due and payable as cause. I mean, guys, I've given you the answer on the screen. What is the answer to 109? It's still on my screen. Gee, whatever could it be? I see you, Miss Marilli. I see you, Miss Stacy. Uh-huh. Yes, it's D. Hello. Right? So we just talked about the defeasance clause. We know it's not that. We know that it is not the alienation clause, and the subordination clause is saying basically the bank, they don't want you putting any other type of lien before them, right? So yeah, our answer is D. Very good. All right, let's do, you know what? I think I want to save 110. We're going to save 110 for right now, but I just feel like doing one math question. So look, here's one right here, 115. Let's just do it because I feel like I haven't done math in a while. Maybe I'll do a day of math. I don't know. A buyer purchases a home appraised at $300,000. Okay, appraised 300. Financed with a loan of 240,000. What is the loan to value ratio? Okay, well, we only know one value. So we're comparing 240,000 to 300,000. Right? We're comparing the loan divided by the value. Gives us our LTV ratio. Well, our loan was 240,000. Our value is 300,000. So we divide, and when we do that, we get 240,000 divided by 300,000. I got 0.8, which equals 80%. Now, I did not put that in a T-bar, but if I were to put it in a T-bar, I would know that my rate goes here. That's what I'm looking for. My 240 goes up here. It's my part. And then my whole is 300. Now, you all know I don't really love a good, we know our answer was 80%. I don't really use my T-bars like that. I like to label them differently, but boom, that is the answer. And I just feel good doing a final math question. So it's 8 o'clock, guys. It is time for me to roll. I turn into a pumpkin. Oh, you are so very welcome. I'm going to try to get some math in. I really feel like we haven't done any math in a while. And I know for so many of you all, math is on your exam. So we'll try to do some more of that. I think it's going to come up naturally. Yep, it's going to come up naturally anyway, coming up soon. So be prepared for that. Guys, you know how to find me. At the very least, you'll see me or hear me this Wednesday, 7 p.m. Be there or be square. I want to be there to help you all. Oh, and just so you know, I did not forget. I said we were going to go over what to do if you're a new agent, but the very person who wanted to talk about that, she is not feeling well. So there's no way I'm going to talk about that without Caroline. I will talk about it, but we're just going to wait for her. So as soon as she comes back, yes, that's what we'll discuss. Until then, y'all got studying to do. Yeah, I'm praying for her too. I hope that she feels better really soon. Yes, text her, please, just to say hi. So I will talk to everybody later. You know how to reach me if you've got questions. Oh, and I should probably do this so we know we did it. Boom, boom, boom. 80 was our answer. Bye, everybody.